This is part 2 of the Decedent Affairs chapter from the Corpsman Manual, chapter 25. And this presentation is going to be focused on notification of death and notification of the next of kin. Notification of death. When a member becomes a casualty, the service member's commanding officer must submit a personal casualty report. If the member is away from the command that learns of the casualty should submit the personal casualty report, and then the parent command should supplement that report when they're made aware of that casualty. So 2 reports will be sent. The casualty report should be submitted within 4 hours. Okay, we've got to get a personal casualty report submitted within 4 hours, and that will be done in accordance with Milper's Man Article 1770 TAC 030. The report needs to be sent by priority message, and the places it needs to be sent to are the Commander of Naval Personnel Command and also the Chief Bureau of Medicine and Surgery, BUMED. Naval Regional Casualty Offices will be notified, and they'll be notified by NAVPERS, the Naval Personnel Command. So the Navy Regional Casualty Officer will be notified of the casualty in their coverage area. And then the Casualty Assistance Call Officer, the CACO, and the Funeral Honor Support Program, they're going to oversee family notification, and we'll talk about CACO and notification in just a little bit here. The personal casualty report needs to be done on the following populations. Anybody active duty Navy who becomes a casualty, obviously a personal casualty report will be sent for them. Retired Navy personnel who are inpatient at an MTF at the time they become a casualty, we have to do a personal casualty report on them. All active duty and reserve military dependents, certain former service members while inpatient at a military treatment facility, all active duty members and other armed forces, civilians to include contract employees serving with or attached to Navy commands, and then other deaths occurring aboard military Sea Left Command vessels. Moving on to notification of next of kin. So in cases of death, the person authorized direct disposition, your primary next of kin, are personally notified by a uniformed Navy Marine Corps representative as appropriate. Notification of the personnel authorized disposition of direct disposition, will be, the notification will be made between 0500 and 2400 hours, okay? So unless there's some sort of extenuating circumstance, like it's something that's going to be on the media, typically they try to make notification between 0500 and 2400 in person. When a death occurs within CONUS, it's the responsibility of the commanding officer to make sure personal notification is made. They don't do it. It's going to be up to the CACO to do that, but it's up to the CO just to make sure that it happens. And then when outside the United States, the commands are going to report it to Navy Personnel Command, and they'll make sure that it's done appropriately. So Navy Personnel Command will forward the casualty report to the designated Casualty Assistance Call Program regional headquarters. So whatever, they'll send them the message to the Casualty Assistance Call Program that's stationed in that area where that pad resides, where that that person authorized direct disposition resides. The CACO officer, the Casualty Assistance Call Officer, will proceed with the notification and, of course, provide the appropriate support. The CACO are assigned to help the pad for a period of 90 days to 9 months, depending on the needs of the family. Confirmation of the casualty. So in all cases, notification shall be made in person, right? Initial notification is made by the CACO, the Casualty Assistance Call Officer. The Casualty Assistance Call Officer will also schedule a follow-up notification 24 hours after the initial notification. And the reason being is that's when you're going to kind of start dealing with the paperwork, what's going to happen with the personal effects, and how all the funding for the funeral and everything that, the mortuary service and all that. So they don't want to do that on the first visit, the first notification. They're going to do that around 24 hours after that. So the CACO will schedule a follow-up notification 24 hours afterwards. The condolence letter. The condolence letter needs to be written by the commanding officer, and they're required to send it to the next of kin within 48 hours. Okay, so commanding officer has to give that condolence letter to the next of kin within 48 hours. The letter, in addition to an expression of condolence, should contain appropriate details on how the casualty died. And I mean, appropriate details. Okay, it doesn't need to go into graphic graphic detail, just the circumstances around it, of course, unless there's something very sensitive about that. And then the condolence letter, 2 copies are going to be sent to, one's going to be sent to Navy Personnel Command, and the other copy is going to be sent to the Office of the Judge Advocate General, the OJAG. All right, and then examples of condolence letters can be found in the Decedent Affairs Manual. So let's go over those timelines again. We talked about a few timelines. So a casualty report should be done within 4 hours of when a casualty occurs. Notification is going to be made by the CACO, right, by the Casualty Assistance Call Officer. They're the ones that are going to notify the PAD, the person authorized direct disposition / next of kin. And that when they make that notification, they got to do it between the hours 0500 and 2400 unless there's some sort of extenuating circumstances. The CACO is going to follow up within 24 hours, and that's when you're going to start that paperwork and all the administrative things that are going to go into it. And then a letter of condolence by the commanding officer needs to be written and sent within 48 hours. And then our CACO is going to help the PAD with anything they need from a period of 90 days to 9 months, depending on the needs of the family. All right, let's review what we've gone over. Who is responsible for submitting a casualty report on a service member? Who is responsible for submitting a casualty report on a service member? That's your commanding officer. Personal casualty report should be submitted within how many hours? Personal casualty report should be submitted within how many hours of casualty? That is 4 hours. 4 hours, we got to get that casualty report done. What method is used to send personal casualty reports? What method is used to send personal casualty reports? We're going to send those by priority message. Priority message. Where are personal casualty reports sent? Where are personal casualty reports going to be sent? They're going to be sent to the Commander, Naval Personnel Command. All right, going to Naval Personnel Command. And then, of course, to the Chief Bureau of Medicine and Surgery as well. Between what hours should the person authorized direct disposition, the next of kin, normally be notified of a death? Between what hours should the PAD be normally notified of a death? Well, we want to notify them between the hours 05 and 2400. After initial notification, when should the CACO follow up with the PAD? When should the Casualty Assistance Call Officer follow up with the person authorized direct disposition? That should happen within 24 hours. That follow-up visit within 24 hours. How long do commanding officers have to write a condolence letter? How much time do we give the commanding officer to write the letter of condolence? They've got to get that done within 48 hours. 48 hours. Where are the copies of the condolence letters sent? Where are the copies of the condolence letters sent? So remember, we got 2 copies. We're going to send one to NAVPERSCOM, right, Naval Personnel Command, and one to the Office of the Judge Advocate General, the OJAG. All right, this concludes this presentation on notification of death and notification of next of kin. Like always, I hope these videos are helping you out, and keep studying.